So the Minecraft Ryzen SMP, which is run by the almighty Omega Chad Horizon himself, is basically a collection of 39 actual YouTubers and one crappy bootleg maniac tiny joke of a YouTube fan. Anyway, it's basically like the Dream SMP, but without the scripting, rules, and the enormous militia of she, them, MCYT, 16-year-old BTS, defund the police, Twitter terrorists who will commit actual felonies to try to defend some faceless dude who plays a child blockade. And be sure to unsubscribe so you don't go clinically insane from my psychotic videos. I spawned in an ocean and immediately went Michael Phelps mode, started hauling across the sea. Apparently the Visco girls had succeeded here with their plastic straw removal efforts because the ocean was overflowing with turtles. I eventually rolled up to a swamp, Shrek style, and began a nice logging business. I dug a hole, got some stone, ended this sheep's career, and eventually I was on the road with some salmonella-laced food and some caveman grog-level tools. Night was falling, and I didn't want to engage in combat with the local crooks, so I booked it and ended up living in some social services nightmare of a box. Throughout the night, I fumbled around building an absolute architectural masterpiece of a house that Frank Lloyd Wright himself would be unbelievably jealous of, and I camped out and inhaled the fumes of the Industrial Revolution as I cooked some iron. Then all of a sudden I got news that a meteor had dropped nearby, and that it contained some elytra, netherite crap, and all sorts of other paraphernalia. I had to get my hands on this bad boy or I was probably going to be permanently stuck in my thrift shop gear. I left and found some weird stuff like this broken water, and then went Viet Cong mode, cruised through the trees for a while before finding a village. I introduced the local dudes to capitalism and did some money laundering. Now that I was basically the Elon Musk of the village, I bought a Flaming Touch, Fire Edge, I have no idea what this is called, stupid burn sword from the local arms dealer, and I left on my journey. I ended up continuing on my Viet Cong streak and decided to live on a hole in the ground, which I marked with a sign so that any other bozos who tried to invade would be notified that I would come and get them. I went mining, found a mine shaft, and I was going around a corner I ran into the annual jihadist management seminar. Luckily, I got rid of Skelly and all of his cronies, but when I squared up with just a basic zombie, it was a different story. The fire aspect or whatever on my sword turned the zombie into a literal flamethrower, and I got completely sautéed Gordon Ramsay style. Naturally, I had a bit of a rage moment, went back to the village, and taught those goons a nice lesson about fire. Just looking back on this footage, I was going absolutely nuts. I went totally haywire, revenge, Genghis Khan mode, completely smoked their entire village. With my evil deeds complete, I strolled out of what was left of the village and spent the night combating the local criminals. I then decided it was high time I went to hell for all my sins, so I slapped together a portal and hit the road. I traded with some communist hoglins, or hoglets, or whatever they're called, in the red biome, and then continued to wander in the direction of the meteor. As I was cruising along, some floating obese white guy tried to give me a lesson in pyrotechnics, but I skipped class and let him be. I finally found another portal and went back to the overworld. If you've made it this far in this video, you should be sainted as the master of boredom. I basically just played garbage survival so far, but things finally got a little more wild after here. Also, join my Discord server for maximum cringe, link in the description. I continued walking and finally found a second sketchy village. For some reason, mob spawning on this server is in turbo mode, and this village looked like Detroit. You got all the rich dudes walled in, meanwhile you got gangster guys going absolutely ham outside of the wall. Donald Trump's dirt wall couldn't keep me out though. I just jumped over it and found two dudes chilling inside. These baddies had full enchanted Gucci gear, so if it came down to a fight, I'd get completely schooled. Luckily, these guys played nice, and with my negotiation skills, I managed to dodge having a close-up meet and greet with this guy's diamond axe. They gave me some food and I left, but the minute I crossed the wall, I met enough mobs to fill the entirety of Alaska. But I did a little trolling and sent them a nice care package of nitroglycerin, which deported these guys to Kingdom Come. By this time, some absolute fiend with an elytra had already come in and nabbed all the loot from the meteor, but I had just gotten a message from some dude asking me to come to his compound out in the middle of nowhere. I went through a third village, found a dog, and fed him some bones. Unfortunately, I have the IQ of a stop sign when it comes to Minecraft combat, and I was just having another great time in the middle of the night when I got smoked by another skeleton. After playing for 3 whole hours, I finally ended up at their little hut. It wasn't anything terribly fantastic in terms of looks, but these guys were loaded. They gave me some diamonds and food, and I had finally found some comrades. And this concludes episode 1 of my terrible adventures in the Horizon SMP. In the next episode, which might come out in, I don't know, 4 years, things get hairy. I deal with destruction, blue men who specialize in cloning, and all other sorts of nonsense. Please unsubscribe so you don't have to watch the next terrible episode, and goodbye.